If a tree falls in the middle of a forest and nobody is around, don't you dare tell me it does not make a just because there was no one to hear it happen, that the tree did not scream or fight back. That, my friends, was a poem, if you can believe. And that's the type of inspiration that we want to promote here on the Salt Grinder. I'm not sure what the message of that, because I didn't take a full semester advance to be told what words mean individually and in unison, symbolic. But what I get out of that beautiful piece of art is that we need to stop chopping down our trees, because they give us air, and without air, we will not survive. We as a species will cease to exist. So an extension of that, what this poem is saying, what it implies rather, is an entire existential crisis that we are currently in, and that global warming is an extension of this little tree that has just fallen over, whether it be by the force of man or other, whether it be by the force of man or that we global warming's bad, kids. That's what the poem's saying. Welcome to the Salt Grinder. How you doing? Welcome to the or how you doing? How you doing? We're intros are a struggle here at the Salt Grinder, but I hope you enjoy. That's a way. If you look that up on Tumblr somewhere, like I did, marked it. It doesn't have a title. It doesn't have an author that I know of, but it's beautiful, and so I encourage all of to start breathing more and chopping down trees less. Your thoughts, Trillian?
Okay. Before I propose my thoughts, let me switch right quickly to...
It's a rhetorical question. You're not supposed to have thoughts on that. It's
No,
the
no.
intro, goddammit.
No, I have an interpretation. But 1 second. Yeah, I switched to US West, and hopefully that gives you the maximum ability to connect. And it's already looking better.
Am I lagging?
You were.
Did I lag during that poetic piece?
It was beautiful. I can hear like we lose every third word, and then you have to piece in the rest, right?
All right. So it's a critical thinking session. That's good. Get you nerds some brain power.
Yes.
This late into the night. You come to the Salt Grinder not only to be entertained, but to be educated. Let's plug in the words here.
Now here's my interpretation. Okay, this isn't about global warming. It's about domestic violence. If a girl gets...
See, that's the obvious answer, though. I'm thinking outside of the bun.
You're taking the literal aspect instead of all the depth and difference.
No. You have been bamboozled into thinking that the true depth is directly beneath the surface. Truly, where the true depth lies, the true depth is that it's not meant to be interpreted through its depth at all. The true depth is the surface. So what you have is interpretation, which is the blunt interpretation about global warming. You have the domestic violence symbolism. But see, that's too obvious, especially in so they don't want you to piece that together or to come away with that. They want it. It would be too obvious if it was that deep. So they want you to see meaning of the surface, and that's the real meaning of this poem. I don't know what I just said, but it sounds like something poetry would.
Hey, you sounded much like YouTube these days.
Not making much sense.
Yep.
But still saying it with a straight face as they change the term. Did anyone else receive that email about the changes of...
Everybody did.
And they're like, please review our new term. Like, oh.
No, no, I know why.
What type of genre is gonna die now? Is it finally reaction videos turn to die?
No, no, it's time for kids channels to die because that's what the policy change is for. Um, Basically, you cannot uh, monetize fully kids content anymore to protect the kids. If your child is if their content is labeled child friendly, they can no longer do targeted ads for you. Targeted ads being, of course, ads personalized to fit what you want based on the algorithm. So that's a lot of money lost for kids channels. Lots of money. And it's the
Well,
US's fault this
we should
time.
know all
This is the US's fault this time, not YouTube.
probably.
They basically annoyed YouTube, and the YouTube was like, fine, fine, okay, okay, and they did that.
Think of the children.
Dude, everybody's saying the same thing. It's like, what? Like, isn't it the parents' job to watch what their kids are watching, not us? Why do we have to babysit
You
other
know,
people's kids?
here's the funniest thing about that and about that argument and that talking point is it, but it also is so true that parents just have enough of their, like, looking back, my parents did a tremendous service to me, letting it TV and media raise me, or at least for part time, right? And I do think it's gotten somewhat hyperbolic this time around. So in 2019, you like how many kids do you see with iPads and tablets, and that's all like they're already living that virtual world where it's like the millennials and Gen. We were slowly introduced to that, but I think this newer generation, the younger members of Gen Z and then whatever generations after that, they are truly the first generation that is going to be not only drenated through the technological mindset and the mindset being that that's how we're going to raise your kids is, and like parents just don't give a shit anymore. I mean, how many times, at least in the States, like I go to a restaurant and there's a kid, they're never talking to the family, their siblings or older brother, older sister, they're always just sitting there, you know, and fidgeting around. And that's I don't have a problem with it. But I also wonder how much interaction, human interaction, this kid actually gets at screaming at people during online games or something.
No, it's
And
it's
that is the true meaning of the poem.
we're gonna keep referencing the poem throughout the stream, like okay, but
It's very multifaceted, multi-layered, folks. Don't get it twisted. There's
no.
more to this than meets the eye. It's modern poetry.
Oh, okay, that was a big lag, but that's fine. But
God,
holy shit,
is it still happening? Can you see me do this?
yes, we can see you very clearly, Louis.
All right.
Very fadingly. I think the
Is
movement
it
is jamming the
jumpy?
camera.
I'm gonna sink this entire stream harder than the Titanic.
No, here's the thing. I have a sister, and my sister has two children, one male, one female. Okay, and
Aw,
right,
she's taken.
she made it absolutely her like crusade against the modern day to make her children stay away from tablets and all of these things as much as possible. And let me tell you, it does make a difference. The children are way more social. They're jumping around. They want to talk to you. They want to do stuff. They're talking to their mom. They're talking to their dad. Whenever they're out exploring. They still want that tablet. They still want the iPad. They still want to just click on a YouTube video and drool. They still want to do that. But because they know they're restricted, they to spend their time doing other stuff. and I compare my sister's children to children I see around me, the same way Louis described them, like in restaurants and all that. And um, I am genuinely terrified for the new generation, because not because of technology, it's because of our generation being a bunch of dumbasses and raising them.
The greatest irony in the generational discussion, which is something that people study, mind you, uh, the greatest irony for me has always millennials and boomers being at odds with one another. Like they hate each other, right? They hate each other's generations. But wait a minute, who raised the millennials? Oh yeah, the boomers. The boomers had the millennials. They're the ones that raised them to be the little snowflakes that they're constantly complaining about. It's
It's not.
and now I wait for when a big discussion gets started regarding Gen Z, because Gen X typically raised Gen Z, the generation, and so it's an interesting dynamic. But I always find that funny in that now it's a new layer. It's like the technology, right? And the boomers are at the start, and just like it's evil, technology, and it's ruining people's lives, especially those little wussish millennials. The millennials are like, but daddy, they're like 35, still living in their mom's basement.
Well, here's the thing, Louis. Here's the thing. I despise the generations theory because I don't think it's accurate, even to like a close, like, it's not even 50% accurate. I
Well,
hate.
obviously not. It's very circumstantial, but it's so funny because you mentioned this a while ago. Things will just exist in academia for the sake of putting them on a test, right? You just need something to put on an exam. Like this is a big part of communication studies these days, is generational theory. How do different generations interact with each other? And I speak from experience. I've had to write about them. I've had to answer multiple choice questions. It it's a real thing, and people take it seriously. There are some boundaries that I subscribe to, but for the most part, obviously everyone's their own thing. Generations do share certain trends, but this whole dynamic that's very incumbent upon like every millennial hates every boomer and vice versa. It's like, how can they hate them? They're their parents. They're related.
No, I'll take it a step further. Here's why I don't like it. It's because it's taught everywhere like it's as real as gravity, and I despise it because people like your generation, and I know you're skeptical, but you love talking about it, and that's always encouraged. If you have a new theory, you want to compare and do all these things. But a lot of people are taking it like as concrete facts, and because it was on a test somewhere they studied, right? Much like any physics, like force and acceleration and all that, and people talk about it like it's a given that cannot be disputed, and I despise that. So they're like, oh, millennials act this way, and because of that, we're gonna alter our own all of our company policy based on it. And I'm like, be careful there, sweetheart. You're gonna lose some money. Like, what are you doing?
Wasn't that the whole Gillette that they had to? The companies now have to go through this hurdle. It's like they have to make the mistake. They can't just sit back and watch others make the mistake, maneuver around it themselves, right? They have to sit there and be like, all right, that mistake, and hit a wall. Let's not navigate around the wall. Let's. That's Gillette. That's basically Gillette. Is they saw all these companies in the political discourse trying to involve them, and Gillette's like, we're gonna take it a step further, but we're also gonna follow in those footsteps. And then you got the Gillette commercial and dollars, and now they're back to oh look, men are strong, men have beards, men have testosterone. like a complete 180. It was like that one. You're right, like that one bad eye green light. Well, our sales are kind of low. Nowhere to go. But and no, they went all the way to the ground.
No, I'll take this a step further, okay? Generation Z, right, is
That's me.
raised by the
That's us.
internet. No, it's raised. They're raised by the internet and the information era at its peak, right? That means generally that most of Gen Z would have very different behaviors because their exposure to information is extremely different. They have different, like every small cornucopia of fucking weasels in some state or another is acts very different from that other state. This generation must be, by common sense, the most diverse and different, like universally speaking. So, how are you going to categorize a generation that's one, still growing, so you're still researching them, and two, that diverse and put them into boxes of behavior? You just cannot.
Well, they're supposed to be the most educationally sound and advanced and very multifaceted because they have access to everything. And because they're the first generation that's they're fully fledged and grown in that environment, so much is expected of them. And so I know that here in the States the mentality is like the millennials take over the workforce slowly but surely because a lot of them are still unemployed. But like they're slowly starting to take over the workforce, but they're gonna make it very woke. And then like the interpretation is Gen Z is gonna have to come and fix all this shit. The big generations always screw it up, and then the generation after them, in theory, you have to get that out of there. In theory, are the ones that have to fix it. So it's like you got the boomers, then the millennials, then Gen Z, and so it's like the Gen X is the thing that the boomers did, and we are gonna have to fix everything in theory that the millennials did.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like, oh, I don't want to fix anything. I'll just leave it to my kids and I'll keep doing my thing. That's what it sounds like.
Basically, it's an excuse. Yeah.
It's a horrifying way to teach people because like it's just I've ranted about Gen Z before and all this theory. I don't want to
Well,
like
hold on.
spend an entire half an hour on this again.
Hold on. Similarly to the tree poem, this is exactly the global warming situation, right? All these old guys, all these candidates for president, suddenly of the environment, but they're not going to be around to like they know they're on their way out, so they're like, yeah, just to get some brownie points buried in the dirt. Cease to exist. I'm gonna make it seem like I cared about the earth to help my legacy, but it's the future generations that are gonna have to deal with it. And so like it's a very modest approach, but I also do think it's arrogance attached to it. Like even among our generations, of the newer ones, we're suddenly caring about global warming, and it's like, what the fuck? Like that's cool. Make strides, but don't claim that if it doesn't get fixed with you, that's this is clearly an issue that's not going to be fixed overnight, right?
Um, move like just addressing something real quick. Hassan, you asked about our thoughts on Black Friday, and then you made a very, very scary comment that we should pray that you're not the one opening the doors. Okay, okay.
Oh,
So,
that's
so
tough.
like prayers, F and chat, and all that for Hassan if you do open the doors, and
No, if you open the doors, it's R.I.P.
yeah.
R.I.P. That's all.
I have to say, I love Black Friday. Like, like conceptually, intellectually, it is horrifying, right? But just seeing a group of zombies attack Walmart once a year. It's like a ritual, you know. It's I love just seeing those videos, just people just fighting, like literally fighting over that, over like discounted. I don't know, like you know those pools, you know, that you attach, like those like terrifying pools of plastic that if you put in your house, it's shameful. It's a shameful like expression of how poor
Oh
you
my
are.
god. Those above what is it called?
Above
Above.
ground pool. There we go. There we go. We got it.
People ain't fighting for that on Black Friday though. What the no, people are fighting for like those stupid Amazon Alexas, which have disabled because they come out with a new study about how like, oh, you can hack them now, and I'm just like, yeah, I really don't use her for that much. In fact, she interrupts me during these streams. I don't use her anymore, but that's what people are fighting over. My favorite thing about Black Friday, and I do have to make this clarification. Uh, I love watching of customers getting trampled,
Oh, definitely.
not the employees, because not the employees though, because the employees, a lot of them don't ask. I know you get paid overtime or you get paid extra. It's Black Friday, all that good stuff, but I suffer during that day. But watching all those dumbass custom trampled, that's funny. That's entertainment to me because you chose to be there, right? Especially when there's no excuse these days. Amazon has Black Friday deals, Cyber Monday deals. You don't have to leave your house, but because people can't wait 3 or less, right? What's Prime? It's like 2 days. Oftentimes they're ahead of schedule, so you might even get it before that. Like people can't wait one sleep cycle essentially just to get that new. Think about that. Think about where we are as a species, where people are so impatient. Often these things are just to have them.
Yeah.
You can't even use like or like holiday gift excuse. Like you can buy online. They have better deals online. People just want it now. And I agree with you. They are all zombies. And it's a scary sight. Here in the States, especially it's Black Friday, it's just a thing that people have to do. So I remember first and only time I went to Target, not Walmart. We have some standards, and I'm joking. It's the same shit. It's honestly the same shit. I didn't know there's no difference whatsoever. You're gonna get trampled. It's like pan. Uh, and I went to Target, and I'm just pretty chill. I was towards the middle of the line. I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. Then the doors opened, and immediately, I like some fat guy just like brushes me on the lead, like almost blows out my shoulder cap. My rotator cuff almost comes popping out. Like I felt it. It's like a lineman, like it misses his tackle, but still nicks you on the shoulder. You're gonna feel that tomorrow. That's what happened to me. Oh, this is getting physical, huh? And I'm not sure if you know me. Uh, I do work out and I do have a body, but it's my stature is not of the sort to where I want to. Like, there's big dudes that can go to these things. It's always big people that go to the like. There's never any kids that are trying to go to these gargantuan, like 3 giant Mira Subway sandwich drowning. Like these fucks are that always show up to Black Friday. They can barely walk, haven't seen their dicks in years. Oh, they'll muster the strength to rush that counter to the end of the store just to get whatever it is. Stupid. It's so unreal. It's something you need to experience, though. You need to experience if you're an American.
Dude,
During Black Friday, it's
dude, you know what I want to do? I want Walmart, okay? I want Walmart. That's my ingenious plan. I want Walmart to buy like 100 Kanye shoes, okay? Just it doesn't have to be Kanye shoes. Anything like what of the sort. These merchandise that people die for, right? And camp for like 3 weeks in a place so they can get them. You take these guys, you take these shoes, you put them and you give them a 90% sale on Black Friday, and you clear out all the merchandise. You put like a ring, okay? And you put the Kanye shoes in the middle. and you wait. And when those doors clear, all you have to do is count how many died. Oh, that's all you have to do. And then post it somewhere on like what do you call it? Like live leaks or whatever. Those places where no censorship, and just see people just waste waste everything that matters all in one for Kanye shoes. And I want the people who leave the Nike shoes, once they leave the store with the Nike shoes, I want like a photo shoot, because they have to be drafted for the UFC or something. Because they won. And it's gonna
They
be
fought
brilliant.
off the rest of the army. Dude, it's actually a smart things are working out now in America. I used to think that it was a bad, or not a bad decision, but like a very piss poor reaction type decision for Walmart to stop selling firearms, even though that was content doing. Black Fridays keep getting crazier. Uh, it's probably best if they don't have weapons.
Yeah.
On the other side of the counter. Like, there's no order. You can have someone trying to regulate things, but if somebody wants something and they're willing to hop over and they're willing to charge in with 100 other sweaty nerds, there are no boundaries that these people know. There's just so much adrenaline, dopamine. Half these fools probably got like G Fuel. It's like focused and tunnel vision, right? Must get new eye for it. And
Actually, I just realized
my favorite thing is this is a teaching moment for so many people. How many people do you think get home and like their clothes are tattered, they're sweating, they're huffing and puffing, and they realize that they either picked up the wrong product, or even better, it broke. And it's not the store's fault.
No. Here, I just had a brilliant idea. Okay, or rather amusing, right?
All right, hit me.
School shooters, right? They're all about going into schools and ba-da-dum, right? But what if a smarter school shooter, instead of going to a school, waits till Black Friday, okay? Published his manifesto on how the ants need to be eliminated or something, right?
Do not jinx that shit. It will happen this year. Just watch.
Just bring out like what would be the ideal weapon for crowd control in that scenario? Would it be a shotgun or like 100-bullet machine gun? Which one would be better?
Trillion, did you not read over the YouTube TOS? All right, we are the kids channel. We cannot encourage. We have a child back here. You're making him feel very, very uncomfortable. There.
No, dude.
No one's gonna shoot you. No one's gonna shoot.
Dude,
actually, people already have shot up Walmart, dude. Isn't that like one of the shootings happened?
No, it has to be Black
Walmart
Friday.
in Texas.
It has to be Black Friday. Imagine next Black Friday filled with security officers and police because some guy shot somebody and they break all the fights and ruin all the fun. That's how you fix Black Friday. All you need is one shooting event. Guys, it's for the benefit of humanity, okay? One guy with a shotgun and a cowboy hat, and some talk about a sexism T-shirt, So like you cover all the spectrums, right? And better if it's a man that used to be a woman, and a woman or a woman that used to be a man. Very important, right? And then like.
Oh my god, you want it to be that GameStop excuse me, it's ma'am.
Yes.
Like, sorry sir, I can see your muscles through your tank top. You're not a ma'am.
Yes.
It's ma'am. Like she walks in, it's ma'am.
Yes.
Bro,
yes.
the very next day, oh, the tragedy. Oh, I cannot believe, because that is very, they're very familiar with this, with Black Friday. They try to act shocked every single time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like another but after a while, it just gets old. Like another Black Friday incident. I believe that these people and they interview fools that were actually at the store. Yeah, I knew I was gonna have to compete with like 50,000 other rhinos in a confined. And I had no idea that somebody would get hurt. You ever see the video of like the mother that's being interviewed and her son got hurt? Like she brought her 4-year-old Black Friday shopping. Dude, he got run over. He had to go to the ER. He got run over by people like 10 times his size and weight.
Uh,
And
whoa.
afterwards, she's like, well, and afterwards, she's like, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna like that's on your conscience though. Those are your bills you're gonna have to pay.
No, I think he hasn't seen enough trauma. Let's take him to a war zone next time. For a picnic. Why
Next
not?
time, yeah. Let's
What the fuck? Why bring like?
after the US backs out of Syria.
Yeah, just take him
Should be
anywhere.
fun stuff.
No, brilliant. This is brilliant. But I do have to step away from this a bit because I have an update for people who watched that last stream that I did, the emergency salt grinder stream. So for people who don't know, Markiplier's channel got mass banned in a live stream. Like people spammed allegedly in order to participate in a game.
Allegedly.
Yeah, because they didn't spam; they were participating in the game, right? And the YouTube algorithm, the almighty algorithm, perceived it as spam and proceeded to ban hundreds, if not thousands, of accounts. I don't know how many people watch Markiplier, but a ton of people got mass banned, not from their YouTube accounts, but they're from Google accounts, emails, everything. So if you use that email for work, well, too bad, right? And um, everybody tried to appeal the ban, and Google and YouTube refused every ban, and Markiplier spent like 2 days just working with his moderators trying to fix this mess, and it got fixed. Apparently, YouTube's IT department, okay, they don't work in the weekends. So they only noticed the problems 2 days after. And I have to say, this is hilarious. A company of that size don't have any employees working at the weekends. To me, that's utterly
You hate to see it, but I gotta respect it. Like we are Google, we're one of the biggest, but we are sticking to the 5-day work week.
it's it's tremendous,
On
right?
the weekends, y'all can go fuck yourselves.
It's beautiful, and they're working on it. But there is one positive that came out of all this. Besides people realizing you shouldn't put anything on Gmail that you can't live without, right? Like, okay, switch to another email service. Go to Yahoo. Yahoo is brilliant.
Or even
But
better, make multiple.
well,
It's just like if you get signed out, it's so easy to.
pretty much, yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the brilliance. I was advocating during that live stream for a YouTubers union because shit like this can't just sit and all of us just don't do anything about it. We have to actually be more proactive towards YouTubers' problems. And despite all the negatives that having a union has, it's way better than not having one. So apparently, there is a movement that is going for a YouTube union, and it is catching traction. Um, uh, there's an initiative called FairTube. You guys can look it up. And FairTube is a YouTubers union made by the Slingshot channel. If you know him, that German guy who makes random things and then shoots them. Let me show you its features, right? He out of all the people, he's the last person I would have thought of to make a union, but evidently he's the one who made it, and he partnered up with like IG Metal, which is like a law firm that specializes in what is it? Taking on people who have been like wronged and like they're the champions of the scum, and what they do is they partnered up, they made the FairTubes initiative, and they're going to attack YouTube legally in order to make YouTubers' lives a bit better, right? I encourage you to check it out. It's a very professional, surprisingly professional for YouTube union initiative, and they tried to have a meeting with YouTube. The YouTube refused because they didn't want any YouTubers in the meeting, and the union was like, "Nope, you have to bring YouTubers in, or no deal." And now they're proceeding after that. It's a very interesting movement, and I encourage you guys to take a look at it. YouTube initiative, no, fairtube.info. That's the thing. That's the thing's name. So I'm happy that there is actually a union movement going on, and yeah, it's about time we take control over our own platform again, right?
Yes, Susan.
It all goes back
But
to
look,
Susan.
it all goes back. Look, this is I honestly believe it's reasons like this that YouTube has not been able to compete with other streaming services. They have the best outlet to do so. But the reason I think is very simple. What happened with Markiplier? Like, you cannot stream. You can't stream these Let's Play games because there's too many telling you what to do, and then obviously this happens, and instead of letting the moderators deal with it and deciding what the YouTube algorithm or the YouTube bot would spam and are gonna end up blocking channels. Like, this is looking below the surface, just like that tree poem. This is actually a very crucial issue with YouTube streaming, like with and its content. The reason why it cannot get off the ground and being able to compete with a Twitch or even a Mixer now, because Twitch and Mixer are all voluntary moderators. Like that's they don't pay anyone to mod. They don't pay anyone to survey streams or make bots or anything that are gonna help. No, it's on YouTube. It's an algorithm. On Twitch, it's voluntary. Some streamers, but you have to be really big at that point, and you have to be getting a lot of spam. YouTube still hasn't even figured out how to incorporate bots and algorithms correctable services. But here they are trying to continue expanding gaming, streaming services, and stuff like this is to one of the biggest creators the platform has ever seen, and they won't take his requests on the weekends because we only work 5 days a week. Nope.
It's downright beautiful for me. It's poetic, It
And
shows
look,
you.
if you want to get adventurous with it, I can see some other lawsuits piling up. Think about all the people that were just watching a stream, and then you're right, they got logged out of their email that's ever worked, their life. Some people don't have different emails. They just have everything go to one themselves. What happens to those people? What if they lose out on opportunities? Or how many times have we heard stories about there's some miscommunication. Somebody doesn't get an email, something they have to do for work, and then they end up getting fired because of it. Whose fault is a bit of a snowball effect, but YouTube is somewhere along. Food for thought.
No, it's like it's not the only initiative. Fairtube is not the only initiative. The union method is not the only way people are doing things. Like education YouTube channels, especially ones that talk about controversial topics like World War II, out of all things, right?
Our history is controversial.
Right? They get demonetized because they said Hitler or Nazi or whatever. So what they did is they banded together and they formed a new education video streaming platform. They call it Nebula, and they're every time they post a new video, they're like, if you like educational content and You want us to make money? Do watch us on Nebula, and Nebula is linked in with Curiosity Stream, and which gives you even more educational content. And so they're trying to migrate their audience away from YouTube, mainly because that's what everybody's doing. The streamers want to migrate their the guys to Twitch or Mixer, and the YouTubers that are getting screwed are pulling their guys and putting them on streams like Nebula and whatever. People are surviving via merchandise development, like, oh, buy our T-shirts, buy our merch, or on Patreon. All that money is being taken out of YouTube and given to every other platform. And YouTube is losing money because of it. Horrible, terrifying amounts of money that we cannot imagine, right? And all of that is happening because YouTube continues to like tumble and fall, and then like decide that the best way to get up is to dig a hole. That's it's
Yeah, just to get their footing better, right?
yeah, just okay.
Dig the hole deep.
Like maybe I'll tumble less if there's more holes on the ground. It's a sad thing to see, or it's a sad thing, because it's a platform we grew up upon. Like Gen Z, right? Grew up on YouTube. Almost all of us have had thousands of hours of our lives spent on YouTube. We don't want to see it go away. We don't want to see it getting worse, right? It's like the perfect loyalty strategy for YouTube, and all they have to do is not fuck up. That's all they have to do. And yet, that's all they're doing. It's like they're trying to fuck up. They're like, okay, what's the fuck up for today? We haven't fucked up in 2 weeks. We have to do something about this.
Well, this is exactly, YouTube is, in my humble opinion, the perfect personification of 1-2 steps back. Every time, every update, if from here on to whenever, mark my word, or they improve one thing, and then before you know it, like there's 2 more complaints. Yeah, remember, both adpocalypses were caused not because YouTube was trying to be mean to creators and trying to cheat them out. It was because they also fixed their terms of service along their platform. They added YouTube Studio Beta, a bunch of dumb shit, right? But they did stuff with the intention, oh yes, this is going to help our platform be more family friendly. I think they've been running with that goal. We're going to be more family friendly and ad friendly. When before, ads didn't care. It wasn't until YouTube made the changes themselves to try to cover their own ass that companies actually started, this is like, it's like it hadn't occurred. Maybe people who watch are more prone to watch them on like Fortnite gameplay videos as opposed to like video. No, because everyone likes Coke, the soda, family friendly, and the point is YouTube forced companies to change their mindset as opposed to just slapping ads wherever their product or their noise in as many channels as possible. They instead resorted to, we're going to pick and choose, and because we're a lot better at doing this than YouTube is, clearly they are. We're going to be picky about it. We're going to be pedantic, and we're going to send out our best leaders and ad specialists to find out exactly where our ads can benefit the most from YouTube. So YouTube used to have the leverage because YouTube used to be the platform where everybody wanted to come and where people were coming to watch. And instead, these companies come because YouTube lets them. And now these companies feel so high and mighty. We get to make the rules as to what we're gonna get to decide what your viewers get to. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a string of complaint after complaint about companies claiming, YouTube friendly. So here, introduce this new terms of service so we can put more ads on these type of to help the kids, you know? And then they cover their ass by saying, oh yeah, well, YouTube can't target these type of channels, blah, 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 blah. Loophole somewhere. I have not read the terms of service. I've skimmed most of them. I know there's a loophole in it somewhere. There's always a flaw you can make out.
Well, here's the thing. Like that's something like I learned as I'm watching that FairTube videos. Most of their demands are tremendously pro YouTube. For example, stop with vague descriptions of what is allowed and not allowed to be, because we as content creators want to obey your laws, whatever they are. So, but they're so vague that you don't know what constitutes as what. And when you get striked, it's not clear why you got striked. And there needs to be a clear, well-studied consensus about these rules, so we're able to produce without fearing too much. Like any channel that, for example, reviews guns, they don't like they're screwed. You know, any channel that I don't know, if you smoke a cigar in the middle of your like video as a gig, you know, you want to I don't know, you want to pretend you're Sigmund Freud or Winston Churchill, and they're always walking around with a cigar. So you bought a cigar from your local store and you just put it on as part of the a gag you're making, and next thing you know, demonetized. And they're like, why? Because I had a fucking cigar, and you don't know why.
No,
But
dude,
like,
do you remember when Deller came to YouTube finally and started streaming, and he was getting accustomed to the YouTube platform and you know the terms of service and getting used in his test stream, he started smoking live on people troll the ever living shit out of him. They're like, oh no, he just got banned from Twitter and YouTube, and he froze. He was like, I can't smoke, and that's like his, like he actually cannot function if he doesn't have a smoke. But you know, like it's that thing he needs to do. Like me and this water bottle, I need to, you know, you need to drink water, everyone.
yeah,
Like
everybody has
he
a
needs
fidget.
that,
Yeah,
especially while he's playing games. So oh, the way he died inside for a good before he found out that it was a troll. Like you don't know, because I saw I saw the truth there. Like there is a truth. There is no limit to what YouTube could ban.
yeah.
You don't know if cigars or cigarettes are gonna get banned tomorrow. It could happen. And seeing how vulnerable he was as a content creator, like I just got banned off one platform for hitting the keyboard over my head as a joke. Can I now get banned for something that has a, you know, like people has ever been a bad, but you don't know. You don't know, especially on YouTube. You're always in the dark, and it's terrifying as a content,
It
big
is.
or
Yeah.
small now. We're sure of it.
And what do you think YouTube's excuse for not being clear about their policies and not giving them like full clarity and full scrutiny? Why do you think YouTube does not do that?
I'm gonna guess they put out some bullshit statement about not wanting to hinder creative freedom.
Oh, I wish. No, their excuse is something to the effect of, "Oh, we cannot publicize our exact like policy on how to deal with everything, and we have to be vague because if we make concrete laws, people will find loopholes around them, and we don't want that to happen."
That's bullshit. Then introduce a case by case system. Don't have bots, service issues, or copyright strikes or community guideline strikes. Have actual people communicate and reveal, it's going to be a very time consuming process. But this is the platform you signed up with or signed up for, and you have to adapt. So many people are left in the dark. Don't punish people right away if a decision has not been made yet. You know, if it's something that is truly out there, then you'll know from the start. Just a video
That's actually
or
that's
that
another.
channel. If it
that's another point proposed by Fairtube, which is we need humans to communicate with, not bots, and this is important. But here's what that excuse tells me. Right, this mixed with the fact that the IT department works 5 days a week only, tells me one thing in particular, which is that the only reason YouTube's policies aren't clear is because they're too lazy to make them clear. They don't want to sit down and think about it and then produce it and then continually refine it. That's an arduous process. Anybody who tried to make any law system that applies for everybody knows that people like it's just a horrifying process that takes years to perfect. They don't want to do that. They're like, how about we become vague and then we can do whatever we want? It's very that sounds reasonable. It's not like we make money off this and we can lose money off it.
Yeah, it's one of those prime examples. We'll do this and we'll see, and right, like we'll just see how it works out. Like we can make it more convenient, including our, but that'd be too much. Let's let people suffer, and because I don't think YouTube grasps this entirely. How many creators depend on YouTube,
Yeah.
and one wrong move. I don't want to say these people are living paycheck to paycheck, but it's at the very least it's a scare, and you see this all the time. Like you don't know what's safe. Do you know how many soft core YouTube channels or like soft core porn YouTube channels
Yeah.
where it's just like sexy skits with very sexualized innuendos, and that's fine.
And then a Patreon link for the exclusive content.
Yeah, and but you know, one person says the F word 5 times. There was this guy that said fuck like 4 or 5 times in a video, and if you say it a certain amount of times, like the algorithm picks it up and demonetizes. So that's why now you're seeing the return of censor, which I actually don't have too big of a problem with censoring, just because like the sound effects be funny, right? They're using the Roblox oof, the death sound. They're using like Star Wars laser cannons. They're using like Overwatch sound effects, Apex, right? Different sound effects, fart noises, just to blot out the words. I think it's actually becoming a very creative process. I think it's a creative to video making now. So I'm not going to give credit to YouTube there, but similar to the tree poem, it is something the line. I told you we're doing.
Yeah, well, I know. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna move a bit from YouTube. It still relates to YouTube, but I'm gonna move away a bit, okay? Because YouTube's problems come from a tremendous plethora of issues, and our next topic also has relation to that thing. Okay, I have.
Yes, the gay frogs. Okay, they're turning.
Yes, actually, that links into okay, and
Wow, I'm on a roll today.
okay, guys, Democrats, leftists, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you guys call
Hey, you didn't say gals.
Periods. Okay? Listen. Stop with the impeachment stuff. For the love of God, for your own good, for your own sense of decency, for your own sense of accomplishment and self-prestige, you need to stop this. Okay? You can't stop. Fucking stop. There is no concrete details. Nobody's seeing the hearings. Nobody cares. It won't happen. If anything, it's Biden that should be investigated, not Trump. And still, people are going on channels right now. All the Jimmy McKimmels and the Jimmy McClarks and all these guys. Every news channel is like, oh, Trump will be impeached in like 3 days. Christmas maximum. They keep. There's one guy I watched his video and it's like Trump will be impeached. We won. Yes, finally. And I'm like, you got Like, are you guys setting yourself like, if we say it enough, maybe it'll become true? Is it just a bunch of? Is it a movement based upon wishful thinking? Any hope? Can't you guys win it regularly, decently, like regular human beings? Can't you guys just do studies, hire PR firms, do what everybody else is doing instead of trying to like skip steps? First, this was Russia. Now it's Ukraine. And you have to understand, if Trump is in cahoots with Russia and also in cahoots with Ukraine, both arch enemies of each other, right? What the fuck is that? How is that even possible?
In which case, Trump is no longer chess. He's playing 5D checkers.
Yes, it's beyond. Like he is top level, right? And I read this comment on YouTube, right? And that comment really rung true with me, which is I think you should deserve, like, it's a fucking honor to be impeached in these modern times. It means you're doing something, right? If people want you impeached, it means you're doing something different and new, right? It's no longer a corruption thing. It's That's where it's reached. It's becoming pointless. And here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. Politicians are showing up in debates, right? And they're talking about the being hacked by Russia and the impeachment things like actual facts, like they're real things, like they're not disputed, even though they were, and there's no substantial evidence anywhere. They still talk about it like it's fact. This is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. It reduces all sense of credibility, and it makes you look like a lunatic. Flat earthers. You're being flat earthers. Stop it. Stop it.
Okay, so I will say this. I think we're all familiar with the saying, if you come for the king, you best not miss.
Oh yeah.
And the reason for that, the reason it's applied so much to impeachment proceedings is that impeachment is not looked favorably upon in the general public. So the Democrats can do it to try to get a Republican out. A Republican can do it in order to try to get the Democrats out. It never looks good, though, because you are indeed your dollars in order to do something that essentially half the country only agree. And so in which case you're not playing the numbers game well. Not only that, impeachment, I will say this, it depends. I've seen polls just this week. Impeachments, favorably are going up, and the reason why the saying "you best not miss" is applied to that, to the entire impeachment process, is no party ever looks good coming out of it, because the American people just hates the process. So they're gonna hate both parties that are entertained, even though they have to. Because if you're a Democrat and you don't support impeachment, you're not getting reelected as a Democrat. And if you're a Republican and you're not defending getting reelected as a Republican, and then you get blacklisted, and then working in politics is nearly impossible again. Like, people play these sort of... It's what impeachment causes, but also, and this is mainly for the... If you go for impeachment, you have to get it done. Like, the ball has been rolling. You got... Now the Democrats, losing is not an option. Like, failing is not an option at this. You must impeach him now. If you're going to go for it, you have to do it, because otherwise you're the main clown leading. If you start impeachment and you draw it out and nothing gets... Congratulations. You played yourself. Now everyone hates you because you're the progenitor. You started this. So that's where the saying, if you come for the king, you best not miss, that's often to impeachment. Because it's basically, you're challenging yourself to get something done. And if you don't get it done, It's just a matter of who started it and who looks better at the end of it.
And Trump will use this once the campaigning season starts. He's
If he
like,
survives, yeah.
"Oh, I have little doubt that he will not survive because the evidence is just so little and so nothing. You know, you hear people like, "Oh, if you can't get impeached for this, I don't know what you can be impeached for." And I'm like, "Really?" Again, it makes me sad for America in general because because I've lived my life, in the Middle East, looking up to the West, right? And Western values and freedom and all this crap. And one of the main things is that here, if anybody tries to get shit done, they get protested against and then they leave. It's very hard for us to get anything done here in Kuwait, for actual representatives to do anything in parliament. But you guys have the ability, and yet you guys are just like the leftists are trying their best to take it away because if you don't respect who got elected and wait your time, why should we respect your candidate? He won. Obey. And then dispute when the time comes. Survive 4 years and then try to win the next election. That's what the Republicans, reasonable people, do. When was the last time Republicans tried to impeach a Democrat president?
Clinton. So not too long ago. It's a very common occurrence. It, it's a
No,
matter of
yes,
getting things rolling enough to this point.
yes, but
And I think even though there are members of Congress, it's kind of like the whole plankton from SpongeBob example. It's like never thought I'd get this far. It's like you entertain the idea, but as soon as you get there, you're like, oh, this is going to be a long and very. And if I make one wrong move, then I make the entire country. No pressure.
utterly ridiculous. That's how I'll describe it.
I wouldn't be so sure though that we're too different from claiming Kuwait. Truthfully, very little gets done here. It just looks like we get a lot more done because our politics is so publicized. So it's like our politicians are like, and in a way, it feels like when a celebrity talks and they do something, it seems like something is actually being. Like Ted Cruz goes outside. When Ted Cruz grew a beard, that was a talking. The amount of shows, fashion shows, late night shows, morning talk show, like it was it was news. Ted Cruz grew a beard. The Ted Cruz, the one that everyone makes fun of as like the Zodiac killer. Which is another example, right? Like politicians turn into memes. They get. It looks like we get a lot of stuff done because they're everywhere. But truthfully, I mean, Ted Cruz shows up. He uses his snaggly voice to make some complaint. Texas is the greatest state in the. And then a person on the other side says, "No, it's Virginia," or some I don't know, whatever state they're from. And then like, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Like, and we have a 7% approval rating for a reason. That's what I'm trying to say. Our Congress has a 7% approval rating
No,
in,
it's
in 2019.
no. Here, the nature of parliamentary slash democratic proceedings is that they are a bit slow. Like, look at how long Brexit is taking, right? It's designed to be slow because a lot of people have to agree to do things. But you guys, you do enough, okay? You do enough. Do you know like our interview proceedings for hiring in the government is still not digitized. It's still you have to do like paperwork. You can't do it on the internet, right? Um, you can do your civil ID on the internet. You can punch in everything and then just go and receive it. But you can't. You still, if you want to be hired for a job, you still have to do all the mumbo jumbo of tennis hopping from office to office, getting this paper and that paper, wasting a month of your life to finally get assigned a job, right? And there's a problem with that. But it won't change for at least 10 years, 5 years, like maximum. Because by the time Parliament gets to it, for whatever reason, like the new thing would have came, like I don't know what's going to be better than the internet, but that will come by the time internet will be allowed in Parliament or whatever. It's surprisingly way slower than the US, and the US is pretty slow, and mostly because um, people don't agree on anything, and then if they agree on something, it can be reappealed very quickly or not acted on very quickly. It's just utterly ridiculous. But my point was that you guys have something good there. Use it, instead of like this mumbo jumbo of waste of time that nobody cares about. Literally nobody cares about except the people who want to be reelected. That bitch who screamed no when Trump won. That's the only one who cares. That's the only one who's watching the impeachment debates, just hoping. You know.
You know what's funny is there's a that's resurfacing. There was a meme when Trump got elected, and it was like an entire process for how to deal with the Trump presidency, and it's like it's a list. It's like find Trump's crimes, impeach him, get Mike Pence assigned, find Mike Pence's crimes because everyone thinks that they corroborated together, right? Crimes, get him impeached, elect the Secretary of State Nancy Pelosi. Have Nancy Pelosi call upon a special election. Hillary Clinton runs, and then she gets elected. We fix this, and I'm like, dude, it's like a 10-step process in American politics. This is not going to get done. And a special election? Who the since when does the president have the power to just assign a special election for the presidency? Like, I don't think this person who made this, who was taken surprisingly serious, has the base, like the sliver of grasp on how any politician works, let alone one of the most arduous in the world. Like, in order to get something done, you can throw out your 10-step process. It's going to be one step that gets on for like 10 years, and if you're lucky, you're going to get a piece if others are willing to agree with you for something that you're willing to give them, and they're willing to give you something in return. Like, it's pure barter. It's like a moral bargaining system. I just couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe it the other day when I came back on Twitter, and oh no, not this. The same list. I will say it now. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We can still get Hillary in office. We can still get the first female president. I'm like, not this shit again, man. Like, don't you know by now? Like, think about how long it took. Assume you get him out, right? Think about how long him out. Mike Pence is next up. Think about how long it's gonna take to get Mike Pence out. By then, you could have two, right? The next two presidents will be elected.
Yep.
Now, I did hear an interesting theory.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine mentioned this, and it's interesting because he said, "What if the Democrats?" I think this is too much credit, but bear with me.
All right.
He says, "What?" Are trying to stall the impeachment process for Trump to get him out of office so that there's less than for Mike Pence to be in office in case he needs to replace. But that less than a year of time is not enough for to know him or his personality, and he won't have enough time to really promote his personality, already be campaigning for the next election. So he won't actually do much presidenting, if that makes any sense. And that's the way that the Democrats are trying to get the needs to have more of a in-home value, right? Uh, Basically, for more of the Democrats to have to engage in a personality contest with Mike Pence, and just because you know more about the Democrats because they've been debating for like 12 debates now, uh, and you won't know much about Mike, or you won't know as much about that. That's the way the Democrats are going to win. And
Uh-huh.
it's an interesting theory, and the Democrats have had a lot of like in the past they've had a lot of politicians, same as the Republicans. So it wouldn't be something I put past them. And then you take one look at like Cory Booker, and you're just like, this man who is now running for senator at one point, he was among them. And he's not the sharpest tool in the box by any means. And he's one of the front runners. Out of all the Democrats in the country, he's one of the people that we're pushing. And I'm just like,
Here's the
I
thing.
see what you mean, but no.
No, like
I can't believe that.
one of these things like interesting theory. Too bad you're wrong type of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's mainly because you're assuming the Democrats actually are like halfway competent of making like a strategy, right? They're not.
Not these. Good God. They were a lot more sophisticated and a lot more subtle to keep their slaves. That's for sure.
Yeah, oh, I love that comment, which is like Trump's election like is no, I haven't seen when Trump got elected. I haven't seen the Democrats being this angry or this salty since the Republicans
Since
took their slaves away. I love that comment,
that
man. It's all a
that's
reminder
gold.
of how everything shifted, right? But I do want to move on from this. I do want some time to actually do. It's not a rant. It's more like of an admiration, right? Um, Hideo Kojima, you know, the Oda of video games, right? The overhyped,
What
underrated.
really?
Dude, the overhyped, underrated. Everybody assumes he's a genius. Everybody thinks he's Elon Musk of gaming. You know, like he made a game, Death Stranding, right?
Hold on. How can you be overhyped and under, or is that stupid?
No, it's just like his fans. He made Metal Gear, right? That spy game that has you like walking around in a banana suit because it's comic relief,
Yeah.
because it's immersion. That game with the ridiculously complicated storylines that don't make sense, but people because they don't get it are fascinated by it. I can keep ranting about Metal Gear, but let's get to the point here. He made a game, Death Stranding, right? And it has reviews from 10 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, which is always wonderful for controversy, right? Um, and people who give it 10 out of 10, it's like, oh, deep expression, difference, unique. Like a true reminder of how creativity should be expressed and explored. All that good stuff, right? While the people who get a 2 out of 10, it's like it's a FedEx simulator. You take one package and you take it to the other place, and there's story in between. But that's pretty much the gameplay, and I despise that, and therefore I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna rate it low. That's the spectrum, right? And the people who has the 2 out of 10 are not wrong. It is a FedEx simulator. You take a package and you're supposed to walk it, and the difficulty of traversing the terrain is what gets you. And it's set in a post-apocalyptic U.S. with time travel and multiverse theory, right? Because of course, right? And monsters like energy monsters for some reason. You're walking around. And there is no real gameplay, and it's the cutscenes are like 40 minutes long, and I don't. Here's my problem. All of that I'm fine with.
It's a walking sim.
Like, controversial opinions, the game being loved by some and despised by others. We're used to this. It's video games. It's subjective in the end. But you know what the subjective 10 out of 10 guys say? Let's say, Lewi, you didn't like the game, Okay, they go and tell you like this. Yeah, yeah, it's not for everybody. It's okay for you not to like it, but like like nobody's able to grasp the complexity of it. You know, so it makes sense that you didn't appreciate it. If you don't, if you're not into that, if you don't watch Rick and Morty, just don't bother. Okay, just don't do it. What the fuck? Like,
That was so perfectly on cue too. So appropriate.
it's one of these.
I've never heard a better way to the fan base for this game.
Yes, it's
The
true.
the 10 out of 10. Like the Rick and Morty. They're basically the Rick and Morty.
They're the same, right? Like, and what did Hideo Kojima say in one interview when they told him, "Oh, your reviews are suffering in the U.S. What do you think?" And he's like, and I have to do my best Kojima impression. Like, I can't do glasses without impeding the expression. There are two types of video game. There are rope video game and there are stick video game. The American like stick. They don't like rope video game. Ding, 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 dow. Okay? And basically, that's him saying the same thing that other people are saying. If you're not Rick and Morty level, you can't appreciate the gameplay. Your gameplay's crap. Your story's crap. Your graphics are tremendously amazing with advanced motion capture. Okay, but that's pretty much it. Okay, revolutionary in when it comes to motion capture. That's pretty much it. Gorgeous to look at. Pretty much it. It's a walking simulator. It makes Minecraft look
Dude,
deep. All right.
exactly. I started watching. So I streamer play it. He took a break from Apex or Call of Duty or something to play this, and now we're in. He's like, I can't skip the cutscenes for some reason, and then by the time I start playing, I like you have to learn the controls. That's a hassle, and then it's just go over here, go over there. Oh look, I can roll. That's fun. What do I do next? In an open world game? And it's just like he's asking all these questions, and people see him dying inside,
Yep. Yep.
and then you
Excuse
just
me.
it was so bad he forgot to change the title of the game. And he's like, "Wow, I really wish I could go back to." That's what it is. It's a walking simulator, and I think what Kojima said regarding the American like stick game, he's basically saying that we and I got news for people who like the Rick and Morty faction of the world. People do like simple things, you know. People like complex things too. People like simple things that eventually turn complex, and vice versa. I'd be willing to say that less people in complex things that turn simple. It's more the other way around from what I've seen, but this whole mentality that like Kojima and the stick analogy, like American like the stick game. So we're fans of keep it simple, stupid. That's not a bad thing, especially for gaming. You know, something people show to they do for fun. They don't really want to overthink it too much. If people want a game, they can over. There's plenty out there. They'll look, but mainly people just want it. They
There.
don't want to see the symbolism and like how many steps your character takes to get from point A to point B.
No. I'll take it a step further. Just because the U.S. audience is wants more action and more gameplay in their fucking video game, doesn't make your game better. Your game lacks gameplay. You know, your game lacks gameplay. People love like rope games. As proof, look at Undertale. Undertale was a game funded by Kickstarter on the premise that you don't have to use violence to reach the end. It's a battle thing, but you don't have to use violence. You can negotiate your way through it if you want to. Furthermore, a game like Papers, Please. Papers, Please was a game where literally you are a transit agent and you have to stop people who are illegally coming into the country. Very controversial in this day and age, right? And you have to literally check the papers to make sure everything checks out, right? And you only get paid for the money that, or rather, for the people you process, right? Correctly. So when somebody gets processed incorrectly and you catch it, they're like, "Oh, please, I have a starving wife and children," and whatever. They try to appeal to your humanity, but you have your own family to take care of. That's what the money's for, right? So you have to make a choice: either let them pass and let your family suffer, or reject them, right? And there's a moral compass going on here. That's purely a rope game. It's sold like crazy. Yet Kojima's game doesn't. Yeah, because it's unnecessarily complicated, because it's ridiculously low on gameplay, and it's frankly an insult to anybody who was following him throughout and liked Metal Gear, right? It's that simple.
Dude, I have to proffer this suggestion. A lot of game designers nowadays are making more of an effort to turn their games into cinematic experiences, i.e., movies, more than games. Death Stranding is one of those. The fact that you can't skip some cutscenes because the developers are really proud of it.
Yeah.
And you should always give people the option, right? It's like something. I mean, people got stuff to do, right? And if you're playing out a movie, and then how many times have you been forced to watch a cutscene, and by the time it finishes, you're like, "Oh my god, I actually get to do something!" Like, wow. And then by then, maybe you don't have the same motivation. Like, I don't even feel like I already forgot the controls. I don't want to
Yeah. I don't want to do anything anymore.
I guess what I'm trying to I guess what I'm trying to say, and I'm speaking as on behalf of the American audience of his games here, is there's nothing wrong with wanting stick games. There's nothing wrong with wanting action, So he may think that he's being very clever, sophisticated, saying, "I make rope games."
Yeah.
Because he made Metal Gear so ropey. I make rope games, and they like stick games. It's like, dude, shut up. You made a walking simulator. That's literally all it is.
Yes. And it's very important to make a distinction here. There's a difference between your game lacking gameplay and people not liking your game because it's too cinematic. The Witcher is hyper cinematic. You can still skip every cutscene. You can still not engage in the story. You can still play and have a rich gameplay experience. It's a game that happens to be cinematic, not a movie that happens to have buttons in it. Okay? Very important distinction. And most people who like this game are insulting their audience, and there's something that I'm offended by, which is the people who want to I watched a couple of reviews for the game to get both sides of the spectrum, and the people who criticize it heavily, they try to do it with the utmost respect, right? But then what do they say? It's almost as if they're trying to appeal to that audience that likes it, and they're very apologetic. You cannot tell me that I cannot dislike this game because of intellectual reasons or whatever. You cannot tell me this because A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, where is the balls? Where is that this game is horrible, and if you like this game, you should go find yourself a gun because you're a waste of life. Where are these guys? No, they're not being taken seriously, so we're going to try to review very professionally and very apologetically, because even though we had a horrible time in the game, because we want to appeal to those guys. Don't appeal to the fucking filth. How dare you? No. Just say what you think. You had a horrible time. The game sucks.
No, look, and I don't want to hear the whole what. You hear this shit now, oh, playing games. or you're not allowed to walk in games. The people that liked it, and they're just like, oh, people can. Well, you can walk in a lot of other games. Like, what's wrong with that? And I'm just like, dude, look at a game like Red Dead. Like, people have no problem walking.
Hello.
Trust, there needs to be a purpose to it. Look at this
Okay.
professionalism. Oh, he just
Okay.
pulled the King
Okay,
of
Louis.
Lightning.
Excuse me for one moment. It's a bit urgent. I'll be back in like 3 minutes. 1 second.
All right. We basically said all we need to do, all we need to say about Kojima, but that's the Salt Grinder. Uh, if it makes people feel better, I do text occasionally while on, but pick up my phone, no, that's next level. I mean, the year right there. But I see you, Nick and Bean, wanted me to talk about Modern Warfare. I've been meaning to do this the past 2 weeks, really, because I know people. I'm gonna keep it short, just because my hatred for this game has, because I've tried not to think about it. But very simply put, worse than Death Stranding, the game sucks. It's the worst Call of Duty ever conceived. Every single complaint that you've heard other people have, I have it times a million. It got so bad that I did get a refund. Don't let them tell you that. Well, if it's been more than 4, you might be pushing it. But if you don't have that many hours, don't let anybody tell you you can't get a refund for it. Just make sure to call and sound very disconcerted if you're on the phone with somebody. So that Activision, you can like type out if you want like the reason for. So just prefacing that, but the game is awful. It's absolute garbage. It's the worst Call of Duty ever made. It's the worst compilation of maps. And it actually didn't occur to me until this game, but Treyarch make better Call of Duty flow maps than Infinity Ward. What an Infinity Ward does better is the story, and the hit detection, because the way the game feels at its most base form, shooting, hitting your target, that feels good. The movement, the very few times you're allowed to move, because that's the primary complaint, right? And if you move, it's a camper's paradise. There's so many things they just screwed over. There's so many things they just messed. As you can't move. The footsteps sound like elephants farting all over the place. You can hear people from across the map. Dead silence is no longer field order. The mini map got screwed up. No one's getting used to the new compass. The maps are, you can camp in every conceivable spot.
Is this Modern Warfare?
Yeah, I might as well get it off requesting it, but it's the worst COD ever. Like, I actually cannot play it. Like, I actually had to quit and get my money back because it was Piccadilly and fucking are the worst Call of Duty maps ever made, and they're in the same. Remember when people complained about like Estate and Wetworks and like a shipment, like all these other terrible ones too? Just drop Piccadilly. People don't play Piccadilly out. They will actually turn off their console or exit the game. I know people that won't play the game just because of that map. It's so bad. It's so bad. They messed everything up and pain. And my only complaint for the campaign is that, right, like if you buy this game for the campaign, and after that, you're not gonna play Spec Ops because it's broken.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. The challenges don't track. The multiplayer is actually unplayable. Like, actually, you cannot move. I told you I wasn't gonna get upset about it, but yeah, it's
No,
bad. It's
no,
really bad. It's so bad they confirmed they're remaking it. They're actually overhauling the entire game. They by the end of November, the game should be what it should have been. And if it is, I will rebuy it and I'll replay it because I'm a huge COD fanboy. But until they fix it's like they had this right, and I get it. They were trying to be different. They made Battlefield, and I'm sorry, COD just wanted to play Battlefield or in this case Rainbow Six Siege. I'd go play that. It's like they took the worst out of every single game and tried to make it a COD, and it shows, and it's awful, and the player counts. And can you believe that like games like PUBG and and even Apex and Fortnite are all beating it on Twitter? I checked, they're beating it. Like a new Call of not even a month old is getting beat by titles that have existed. You can't script this any better. It sucks. It sucks. It's a negative one awful. It's absolutely awful. It's the worst game I've
No. I'm happy.
No, yes. That is exactly.
No. I'm happy, Lewi. And the reason I'm happy is because every AAA game is fucking up, and that's beautiful.
It sucks. They suck these days. What's happening?
What's happening? My theory is, it's they're dying. Okay, they're dying, and that's wonderful. They have fatigue, but and the employees are not working as well, and the systems are not updating properly due to the firmware, and they're using like the same like code they used for like World at War, and they're suffering because of it. And I like it because it's time for video game developers to realize it's not about releasing a game every year. It's not really about releasing just minimum updated features. The FIFA formula doesn't work anymore. You need to up your game, like, pun not intended. You need to step it up a notch, okay? Because this ain't happening, and people are not like are no longer gullible about this. And the more fuck ups by AAA titles that we get, the more like aware like video gamers will be, and I want that to be the case. So welcome to the team, guys. Welcome to the team.
No, look, I made it clear. I played the beta. The beta was bad. It was bad, but I could still excuse people if they wanted to pre-order it. I didn't pre-order it. It's the first COD I haven't pre-ordered in a long time.
Never pre-order.
And then and then the actual game came out, and I made the mistake. I bought it on PS4, but I bought it on PS4, and then I played it on my friend's Xbox while the PS4 version
was downloading.
Playing it on Xbox, it should have been. I'm like, wow, this is that. And my dumbass, for some reason, thinks that it's gonna get. And you kind of want to get your money's worth. And I show up home, it's downloaded. I turn on the. I'm not joking when I tell you, I did not. An hour. I'm being dead serious. I could not. I played 50. That was the time it told me before I closed it out. Called for a refund. 53 minutes when I have put hundreds of hours into previous. And here's the thing. I know, like, especially Nick and Bean, like, I know you want the rage. You've seen the rage, all right? You have seen the rage. I know you just want it to stream, but I assure you, like, I'm just over. Every COD that comes out is top. You know it's gonna suck at first, and then over time they're gonna fix it like 6 months down the road and make it a playable game. But at the beginning, it's always going to have problems and bugs, but it's always this is the first Call of Duty game, and I'm feeling it because this is a year. It like it actually hurts to play it, and it hurts even more not to have it to play. Black Ops 4 was bad, and I'd rather play for hours. It's like the Jimmy Kimmel Lily Singh example. I'd rather watch Jimmy any day of the
Yeah.
week.
It's like
But
the standards are not going up, they're going low. And they're pushing it further.
and we mentioned last week what the mentality is. Like AAA titles, they know they're gonna get a bunch of pre-orders, especially with established titles. So they make a lot of money off of that, and then AAA titles, they're already getting your play games where they rely on retention, so they have to keep you there and they have to keep you interested. So whatever they launch has to be good at first.
Yeah,
They don't have time to fuck.
exactly, yeah.
It's just it's bad. All right, like everyone has the lowest player this early into a COD's life cycle. I mean, the stats are all out there. It's like they claim the game's gonna get fixed.
Yeah, good luck with
I
that.
don't really care at this point.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
over it. I'm honestly over it.
Yeah, it's like it's time to switch to better, more refined gameplay experiences, first person shooters or not. And this is the perfect opportunity for these lower companies who've been making better games but don't have recognition because they don't have the name. It's time for them to step up their game because it's time. It's time for them to actually rise up. Like no time like the present, right?
No, Nick. In Infinity, I know that's what everyone thinks. The next COD
Yeah,
will
we'll
save
fix
the
it.
franchise.
Yeah, no, no.
Remember, everyone was saying it in Infinity War. Been saying that the past three CODs, and they have epically, royally fucked up the past three CODs. What they made Ghost, they made Infinite Warfare, and now they make this steaming pile of pig shit. No, in Infinity War, we don't trust. That's 3 strikes. They're out. I cannot believe them, but I'm actually looking forward to Black Ops 5. If that is what it's going to be.
You know, they might as well just remaster their old games and release them at this point. They'd make more money off that.
That's all people wanted.
Yeah.
That's all people wanted. Look, people just want Modern Warfare 2. People want that more than they want new CODs. Trust me. Warfare 2, I'll be on for 39 hours straight.
Oh, I miss the Modern Warfare 2s, the Black Ops ones. To me, that's the height of the Call of Duty franchise, these 2 games. After that, it was just sad. Every game after that was just... And I started during these games, which is I think they're better, maybe, but it's universally agreed upon that Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 are great. And the older games are bad only in the sense that the hackers get to them. You know? They're more easily hacked. Or they would have been acclaimed too.
Beautiful thing about... The beautiful things about COD. COD's glory age was COD 4, the real Modern Warfare, to Black Ops 2. I think that's what most people recognize as the golden age of COD. Everything outside of those parameters, forgettable or not worth it. The reason why people, and I have to stress this, and if and when, because it's a matter of when, especially with the losses you're going to have to coop from this. When you remaster Modern Warfare 2, leave everything as is.
Yes.
Trust me, it's what people want. Modern Warfare 2, all these COD games in the golden age, they were broke, but there was balance, as people say.
No. Let's not even talk about that. It was fun. That was enough.
It was fun. Yeah. and you didn't have all the sweat. This is something if I don't, but all the TTV sweats and the YouTube dorks, coming over, feel like they're playing in a world tournament every single game, ruin the experience for everyone. You know, people with like G Fuel and Adderall like 2 inches from their screen. Like
Yeah,
those
just
people, yeah, they but in the golden age, and I don't know how that's gonna translate because we saw a glimpse of that in the first remastered game, COD 4 Head Lich Remastered. Right, like everyone's sweating, but in those games, specifically in Modern, it was fun because there were so many broken elements. Right,
yep.
so a guy was noob tubing from across the map.
Who cares? Yeah.
You could noob tube him back. You could riot shoot over to him. If you had Commando Pro, you could literally knife the map. Footsteps actually worked in that game. Like the flashbang, the way people could get outside of the map to shoot you. Like, dude, it's look at Rust. The map is a joke. It's a and people love it. It's universally recognized as the best because it's just pure chaos. That's all people want. They just want. Who knew? Oh,
Yeah, it's like
that's enough of that.
yeah, it's like fuck balance, give us fun back. If somebody sucks and wants to noob tube, or he gets fucking like he gets funny in the tummy whenever he noob tubes and hears the guy raging in the chat. Yeah, let him do that. It's fine. Let people enjoy the game. Any game that puts balance over fun is losing, is gonna lose everything. Balance is important for competition. Who competes playing COD? That's my question.
No, look. Did you know that I actually did not know this. This was a big deal during the Black Ops 4 life cycle because there wasn't much content, so people had to find other things to talk about. Did you know that in COD tournaments, and it reeks sweat, then I don't know what does. They actually regulate what perks, what loadouts you can use as a pro. There's so much in the actual game that you actually cannot use. Did you know that in pro COD tournaments for Black Ops 4, you can only use 3 weapons? You can only use, I believe it was like the SOG, 9.5, the Maddox, and like the AK from the assault rifle category. There's like 20 assault rifles in the game. You can't use, you get like 2% of them. That's insane. Like they have regulations to make sure that the pros aren't having fun. And then what do people do? They watch these tournaments on. I'm going to use these guns. And then you end up using one of the 3 guns that's allowed, and then you end up getting killed by somebody. Wow, you suck. You're a cheater. You're a hacker. And they're like, why? They're like, well, because you can't use one of those guns. It's like, why can't I use this gun? It's in the game. Yeah, but it's not. Fuck balance, bro.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win.
No,
Oh,
it's a plague that's hitting video games. That's why, like, sometimes I just like single player shooters more than I like multiplayer ones, because like you're just allowed to do anything you want. You just can pick up a weapon that mass kills everybody, and you can just go around and just kill it on a on a killing spree. And
aren't video games a giant empowerment fantasy? Like people, so yeah, it makes sense. Like let the kid run around with the grenade. You said it himself. He's a noob, most likely.
yeah, let him
You
have
know.
fun. Yeah, look, that's how he gets kills. Let him get the kills. Why is that bad?
I realize there's an art to it, right? Like there are very few games that get it perfect, but please, Infinity Ward.
Get your shit together.
I know you're not the same team that made those legendary behemoths, but ironically, this is all the old Infinity Ward developers that made those great COD. Guess what game they're working on right now?
What?
Apex Legends.
Ah.
They're at Respawn. It all makes sense now, right? They're on Titanfall, and
Yeah, Titanfall
that's
was like
that's all I gotta say. That's there's a reason why that game's yeah.
um moving on.
Yes, please.
Let's move
There,
on
Nick
over.
Bean, you got your. I acknowledged you, senpai. Weeb say.
Let's move on from this video game to another video game. So Pokemon just came out, and it has a
Uh,
very, very mixed response. And I don't care about the response. It's not as controversial as Death Stranding. At least it's a fucking game. But but here's the thing. Uh, Pokemon has like every AAA franchise, right? Got failed. Like it's failing, and its fans are awake, right? They know, and they're refunding, and they're ranting, and they're raging, and all of that. And uh, the AAAs are shaking, except Pokemon. And Pokemon fans are probably the most sheepish. Like if Pokemon committed mass murder, they would still buy the game. Okay? It's that level of like being just a slave to the corporation. A lot of people are angry at Pokemon for certain things they did in Sword and Shield, removing the national decks, certain quality like frame issues, all of those things. Everything that everybody rants about, right? But they still pre-ordered the game, and they still played it, and they still say 9 out of 10, 5 out of like 8.5, like 5 out of 5, 4 out of 6, whatever, right? Just praise, like showering it with praise. And all I can sit here and just facepalm, and I'm like, stop being sheep. If you don't like something a company did, how about you don't buy the bloody fucking game? And for the love of God, let the give the company a chance to improve its game, because no company will improve its game if it's not broken. There are some, but nobody will like Pokemon have no incentive to improve and up their game. Like their games have been lazy throughout their development cycles. Lazy, right? Not saying bad, just lazy. But the fans just buy them like each new game sells millions of copies. All the merch sells millions. Nobody's willing to actually tell Nintendo, or rather Game Freak, up your game, right? Because we like creative expression is all about making things better. Make things better. Instead, we get. I haven't played the game. I'm seeing people playing it. I'm waiting for their input. I didn't buy the game. My assumption: mediocre at best. Mediocre at best, right? That's my prediction. And people will shower it with praise like it's the best thing that came since sliced bread. And I am firmly against it. Firmly against it.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I actually saw Abby playing it on Twitch a little bit today.
Yes, he's streaming it, and the only reason he bought it, because he's of my opinion, the only reason he bought it, he's like, if I'm gonna trash the game, I have to actually have knowledge about the game, so I'm gonna play it. I'm more of a vote with your dollar kind of guy. The others are less so. Aziz also streaming it on YouTube. Dark 8.
Subscribe to
Yep.
Dark Rai QA.
He did 8 hours yesterday, and he's gonna apparently stream it for a full week until he finishes the whole thing. So, yeah, if you like people talking in Arabic, go to the fucking stream.
If you like being able to tell them how to without being flagged for spam and have your entire fucking Markiplier, go subscribe to Dark Rai Q8. Anyhow, the game to me looks mediocre as because like Pokemon games to me all look mediocre. They
Well,
just look like the same game every single.
they are. They are. It never changed.
Yeah, so it's like I look at it and watch some people streaming it because it was trending pretty high. I was like, eh,
Now, here's the thing about
oh
Pokemon,
look,
right?
Eevee or Pikachu, whatever fucking Pokemon people do people still right? It's like Squirtle uses water gun. Oh yeah, it's all coming back to me
Yeah,
for
they all.
and the year
It's all
before
there.
that,
It's
and the
all
year
there.
before that.
It's all there. And my main complaint about Pokemon is that they didn't change the battling mechanics from 1996 to this day. That's I was born in 1996. That's 23 years. Okay? 23 years, same battling system, same mechanics, nothing changed. Nothing. Right? And Pokemon has a fan base so dedicated and potential so high, it's to me it's utterly preposterous that nothing changed to this day. And funny enough, what are the best Pokemon games? The side games made by different companies that were licensed to do so. Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Colosseum, Pokemon, what was a Pokepark? You know, the games that actually take the Pokemon brand and then they try to make a game out of it. These guys is like they have games that are like people who played it adore it to death and say like they want more of it and this should be a thing. And Mystery Dungeon had like what 8 games, right? And the main reason is because this there's so much potential in the Pokemon brand that is wasted in the main games because they're never going to change it, right? And all they need to do is just spend a good 4 years or 3 years making a new system with new graphics, like rebooting the main game franchises with a new, concise, very powerful new gameplay sequence and mechanics. And next thing you know, the like Pokemon will soar high, right? As like amongst the greatest of games. But nobody votes for Pokemon as the greatest of games because it's just nothing. It's just clicking buttons. Um, the same way you did for the like if you it's like your comfort zone. It's like McDonald's. That's what Pokemon is. It's the McDonald's of games. Just
I'll give you Burger King. It's the Burger King of games.
okay.
Uh, I
Whatever
I don't know
fast food game.
The, the McDonald's might be Mario.
No, Mario changes gameplay. This like what they do every time a new main Mario game comes out. There's a new mechanic. There's a new way of gameplay. It's still a platformer. There's still tradition, but there's a lot changed. What nothing changes in Pokemon except the region and the new Pokemon introduced and like
And then you trainer,
the new
right?
the new champion. The like, how about you give the how about you give us actual story? They tried with Gem 5 and I approved, right? But then they're like, oh shit, no, we better go back. You know, the teams are actually getting, you know, the evil teams are getting too deep, and you know, you can actually, it makes you think that's a bit too much. We don't want our fan base to think. Let's give them cringe team number 14, and let's have them be just waste everybody's time. No, I hope they change the game drastically in the next one. They won't. I know they won't, but they have to at some point. You go give us stuff. I don't know, man. I'm
Dude,
just
even the show's the same way though too. If you think about it, it's I grew up watching. You don't notice it much, but looking back, Pokemon, you know, aside from being repetitive, it's games but in show form.
yeah.
Like, oh look, new region, oh he has to go beat these gym trainers, or gym leaders, whatever, and then get the badges.
And
Oh, he's still
ooh,
on his way to become a Pokemon Master. Just like last season and the season before that. How many
no,
years has it been?
no,
And this dude is still 10 fucking years old?
no. Actually, he won
Why
last
doesn't
tournament.
why doesn't his Pikachu ever evolve?
No, no, no.
That's my question.
He won. They're done with him. He won last tournament, and they stopped the story arc. They're gonna go with a new one.
You're joking.
Yeah, it just happened. It just happened.
Oh,
like
it just happened.
a few months back. Like that was the like
No way.
I swear to you, everybody was shocked. Like everyone was like, "He won? How?" You know,
Is this? Oh, I
beautiful.
can see the shell shock on people's faces.
Dude, it's like when the
Is
Undertaker
it
lost
wrong?
WrestleMania. You know, like it was that level of shock. You know.
Dude, it's like, can you imagine all the nerds? Like, it's over. What? It, it's oh, oh, there's no episode next week. What? A new trainer?
No more ass ketchup. He's done.
Who did he beat? I need to look this up.
Yeah, I haven't looked this up
Like,
either.
did he won with Pikachu? I presume. Like that was the last fight. Pikachu versus like, some Mewtwo level
Yeah,
villain
probably.
Pokemon.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it, but probably he has a rival that he always fights to get the championship, and he loses every time. But I guess this time Pikachu finally reached level 100, and he managed to one shot the other guy or something. I don't know.
Oh my god,
No,
bro! I just realized I never got to see the end. I was not aware that Ash's story ended, and I'm also not aware if you know the original you one before the motorcycles and the 10,000 cards of which
yeah, yeah.
uh like I never got to see the end of the Yugi story arc. Like, dude, it's all coming back to me. Like I actually don't know how both of those stories. Wow. Wow.
Your childhood was a lie. You need to go back. Well, let me tell you.
Oh, he won, bro. He won. He finally beat the last gym in like
I love how shocked you are. See, that's why. That's the true meaning of the tree. Okay? Because Ash wins. Eh? I don't know where I'm going with this.
okay.
I don't know where I'm going with this.
I thought you were going to continue with fire, ash,
I was,
fires, trees, California.
yeah, I was, but then I'm like, okay, I lost my train of
There's a
thought.
joke in there.
Yes, yes. I was like, Ash wins. Fire. There was gonna be something. I just couldn't link them. Ugh.
That is the true meaning of the tree. Ash ketchup and it was fire.
On that note, it's time to wrap up, guys. Thank you for showing up. Whoever showed up. Um, Same time, same place, always. Every Saturday or Friday for you guys. I don't know. Like you know the time. I don't have to waste your guys' time plugging in my own show.
Yes, but we do need to give the plug for Darkrai Q8.
Yes.
Subscribe to Darkrai Q8. Watch Darkrai Q8.
Darkrai Q8 streams on YouTube. Arasan, Pink Flame on Twitch. They're both streaming. You go pick your poison. And we'll come back next week with a proper a proper review of this waste of a franchise.
Very well. Yes, and I'll come to you with my live reaction to Ash finally winning, bro. It's hitting me hard, actually.
You finally grew up, huh? You feel like you're an adult. You saw your first pussy.
I'll let you get away with that analogy tonight, but wow. Okay.
Uh, all right,
Ash.
guys. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you guys in the next one.